What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We are coming at you live with Week 2, Match 1. Thank you to everybody who has stood by us while we waited to get started here. My name is Gordo. I'm joined by Jay Beto. Thank you so much for hopping on for your first ACL stream. And it's going to be a banger. We've got Peach Cats taking on Milk Esports, a Pool 1 team facing off against a Pool 2 team, both 1-0 to kick off the ACL so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here, but I'm more excited to watch these teams. Some incredible players here. I mean, Gordo, we've just finished up casting some Cedo in the last couple of weeks, and obviously you're much more comfortable. Familiar. You're much more familiar with these players than I am, but I've started to get to know them over the course of watching Cedo. Some outstanding talent here. I've seen a lot of these players LFT for the 26th season for NECL. A lot of posts, Horta making some rumblings, and I'm really excited to see how these players go. This is, some, like I said, very high rated League of Legends, very high execution. So I'm super pumped.
Yeah, and I got to toot the horn every time. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I just love the way it sounds. And the way, and the ACL's horn in general here. There's a couple players here that I think have an outside shot at Tier 1 for 2026. And ACL Fall does have a proud history of sending players directly to Tier 1 the following split. So going to try to keep that streak going here. And these may be some of the faces that are able to do it. Let's introduce our two rosters facing off here today. We'll start off with Peach Cats, who are going to be on the blue side, representing the same logo as the Peach Cats of 2023, who made a run all the way to the finals, but with a different lineup this time. It's Stray, Griffin, Asyla, Array, and Obstinatus.
Yes, and again, seeing a couple of these players in the Cedo Combine myself. Asyla had some amazing performances, Array as well, but got some names here that we're not super familiar with in general. Obstinatus, I will be saying that correctly for the remainder of the stream, hopefully. But you were saying to me that you've heard some really good things about this player coming into this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So Obstinatus, a Portuguese player who's been playing in the ERLs for quite a while now, coming on over, joining this prospective Ole Miss lineup for 2026 CLAW. And yeah, I've heard very, very good things from his performances in solo queue so far, and how he has looked in scrimmages and things like that. When you bring up support in particular for NACL and for Tier 2 and Tier 3 in total going into 2026. It's a role where this region is lacking a little bit. It's where we're looking to kind of restock as we lost a bit of the previous generation over the course of 2024 going into 2025. Still in that rebuilding process, and Obstinatus, a name that comes up as somebody who people feel like could fill some of those slots.
I mean, just take a look at. I was making a joke with you about supports that Europe have stolen recently. Busio, right, going over to LEC. But I mean, that was a player that, Cubby talks about all the time. He had his eyes on when he was playing in Tier 2 and Amateur. And look at what he's been able to do, right? Nearly beat Gen G last year. Not the most successful year this year, but obviously in LTA or LCS, did have an outstanding year. So hopefully we can get some more of these supports out of Tier 2 into Tier 1, build up some of this talent. I know there's been a lot of discourse on Twitter recently from a lot of different people about really supporting the ecosystem of Tier 2 going into Tier 1. So, starting it up starting it up right here would be a really great start.
Yeah, and there's been turnover at the support position in tier 2 as well, quite a bit of it actually. As we've seen the exit of players like Poom, players like Chime, players like Winsome going over to CB LOL. So there's some room for new blood to come in there as well. And as they started to in 2025, but that's a process that's going to continue into 2026. With that said, let's check out who's going to be facing off against them. It is the reigning ACL champions, Milk Esports, with a little bit of a roster shakeup from their summer split roster. It's Hoarder, Kisno, Mini, Levitate, and Manui.
Just star-studded roster, to be honest. Like, Hoarder, an exceptional top laner. Mini has some of the best Azir that I've seen in the Cedo Combine specifically. It was banned against him almost every game that I saw. And Minui, I have to say, this is where my eyes are. I think that Minui is incredibly creative with pathing and a very flexible support pool. The Nico, the Bards, the Rakans, the engaged supports, the Enchanters, he can seemingly play it all and get it done on all of those champions.
Yeah, absolutely here. And making some slight adjustments here. Now, Milk Esports Whole Milk, perhaps infamously bringing in Kizno in the playoffs last split to enable their massive winner's side run and eventual championship. He's on the official lineup this time around. They move Minui from top lane over to support. I think the role that he has looked best on as he makes his worldwide journey from position to position, collects all of them to eventually become the avatar. Support looks like the best, looks like his best position, at least as of late. And then they bring in Hoarder. Obviously, the loss of Cryogen is going to hurt. That guy is awesome, but Hoarder and getting Minui at support, that could be even stronger if you're willing to get yourself hyped enough.
Kind of feels like the kind of Goku turning into Super Saiyan 3 and now to go even further beyond. You know, this team was already so strong, now even stronger. And it's a really interesting point to talk about a player that's role swapped, which is typically something that's really difficult to do and doesn't have a whole lot of success. It can take a long time to really cement yourself in a new role. But to be able to role swap and then instantly be looking like a top contender in tier 2 is really something.
Yeah, that I do feel obligated to call out, completely irrelevant to today's match, but I feel the need to name and shame these players. If you look at the sub roster, you'll see DZ Kizno. Kizno is not mentioned twice. That's Sajed. His IGN right now is DZ Kizno. Stop doing this, guys. Please. I beg of you. There's more than one player right now doing this, and I don't appreciate it. With that said, let's get back into the Milk Esports lineup. We're going to get into draft here. These players have been so graciously waiting for us as we set up to get ready. And we are, of course, in a full fearless best of 3 coming out here. Both these teams sitting at 1-0 in the current standings. So playing for potentially the first seed in this group as the 2 favorites, and first seed in the group gets you right into playoffs, locks you in to one of those top seeds. It matters a lot in this group stage. First versus second is a huge difference.
And I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but I did see an announcement that Fearless will be returning in 2026. So get familiar, get comfortable. We've had a full year already for players to work it out, expand their pools, work on the different drafting system. And I think that, you know, like it or hate it, it's staying. So may as well get to know this system. But yeah, not only the playoff seeding, but you were talking about earlier this ACL fall having a reputation for seeding players into tier 1. This is where you need to prove yourself, right? These games, these are important matches for both of these teams. Obviously, you know, playoffs and finals is more important, but every match here that you play is a statement, is something that you can look towards and show people, hey, look at my performance on this champion in this situation. And I think these players tested, as there's the 5 mini Azir ban. That's not a surprise for me.
Yeah, as we learned from you and I, Chivetto, we were just on the last day of Saito a couple days ago. We watched Mini versus Shochi in a 3-game matchup, and a big attribute of that matchup was this Azir Orianna matchup. Tough to play either side of it up against Mini. It's really his bread and butter. All mid laners play Azir Orianna, but Mini, I think, really locked in that particular zone of play. And as we learned in that series, definitely not a player that you want to give up one and lose access to the other on. So they're going to end up with both of them banned away here. Peach Cats lead off the board with the Azir ban, taking away that 5 mini Azir. That was the first thing you mentioned when you saw this player on the lineups. See how they want to play out the rest from here. Of course, did get a good Orianna game off in their matchup up against ULAC Conviction to kick off the season, but this is a Milk lineup that, no disrespect to ULAC Conviction, but we have not seen them very heavily tested so far this early into the season. They did reschedule their day 1 matchup, so they've only had to play 1 game so far. Peach Cats, of course, being faced with their bye, have also only played 1 match, but it was against that CCG lineup filled with LRN talent, and they were able to make quick work of them.
I mean, mid lane is something that has been very highly prioritized in pro play at World, specifically in the draft. Going it early, you know, something like a Talia could be really strong. Galio, the Rise, these roaming mids outside of the outside of the Azir and Orianna. It's these roaming global mid laners in the first game of a series that really tend to be prioritized. The Yunara's banned, the Wukong's banned. You could also go these AD junglers. Xin Zhao Jarvan still available to pick, but it's actually going to be Trundle first pick for Peach Cats. Yeah, this has been, we've seen it a couple of times, but the problem is that I'd say second or third pick Trundle's really strong because you can get at least one good matchup. Now, you know, you get the Jarvan. Jarvan's great into Trundle. You could pick a Rakan, also really good into Trundle. Things that can really be mobile and not allow the Trundle to really lock you down, because Trundle wins 1v1, not against mobility.
Yeah, definitely. It's curious to see the prio on the Trundle there with the Jarvan still up. You know that Kisno's going to play it, so should be face up for old Griffin, knowing that this is the matchup he's going to play. I'm not going to completely discount the possibility that they could be flexing this around, but they are going to grab up the Scion here as well. Quick draft coming through from Peach Cats, as they will also lock in the Talia for a Syla. You know, this team, this Ole Miss core has changed around a lot of players over the course of the last year and change or so, keeping around just Stray and Asyla. But you know that those roots, those bones deep down, love these kinds of roaming mids. They love to have that kind of play style coming through from Asyla in the mid lane, and they're going to pick that one up for him nice and early. The flex of the Corki are going to be available, and Hoarder going to get to play Gwen into Scion. That's exciting stuff if you are a carry top laner like him.
It's a nice trap, actually, from Peach Cats here. They picked the Trundle first, which I'm still not convinced by, but the Scion, great top laner, great blind top laner, and then the Talia. Now, typically right here, you'd want to go Galio. Galio feels great here, but enemy team has a Trundle. You can't really go Galio anymore. So the only real option in mid now is the Rise, or you have to sack yourself in top because Mbess has already been banned. So they opt for the Gwen, which is the preferred matchup into the Scion. There is still, you know, Aatrox if you want to go that too. Some things that you could go. But now you're going to get target banned out of mid. I would expect a Rise, maybe not into the Trundle, but maybe, you know, Milk Esports say, oh, that's a bit too risky. We want something with a bit more mobility, but then you're giving value over to Talia. So I really like this trap from Peach Cats in the early stages of this draft.
Yeah, going to be a big test for Mini here. He loses his Aurora, he loses his Azir, he's lost his Orianna due to his own side bans. Maybe he will be piloting the Corki as something else that we saw from him during his time on Apex Mission Impossible. Wouldn't shock me to see them go for something a little bit different on Levitate's angle, so maybe that's their approach here. They would appreciate a little bit of tank shred facing down both Trundle and Scion, so the more I think about it, the more likely I actually think, you know, some kind of turbo carry could come through for Levitate, and they'll just flex the Corki over to mid, especially with big magic damage coming through from Gwen in the top lane. I'm really selling myself on this, and instead it's going to be the Ziggs for the bottom lane, so no hyper carry, but still likely going to be a Corki in mid.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably Leona here on 5 for Milk Esports. You could preempt this with a Braum, but it's the Nico for Peach Cats here. So Karma, terrible with Ziggs. It's got to be Leona. Rel is okay too, but the Cripple, also the Unraveled Earth from Talia. It is Karma.
Ziggs.
Oh, man, I don't know. I said Karma Ziggs, you're not playing that, but apparently we are.
I guess you are, yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be helpful to have that big shielding for a lot of the rest of the draft. Maybe not necessarily a go-to duo with Ziggs. You're going to be in a bit of a pitched poke battle with the Caitlyn and the Nico, but you are going to get to back up Jarvan, Gwen, Corki. And as I say that, Mini has loaded on to the Rift on the Ziggs. He's going to play that mid lane up against the Talia, and they are going to send Levitate Corki bottom in a major range disadvantage matchup up against the Caitlyn.
This does make a little bit more sense because I think that Ziggs Karma is pretty terrible because of the over-invested magic damage. It's really good levels 1 through 6 when you've got ridiculous push, but then the Ziggs and Karma don't really have any synergy. You really want the Ziggs to be kind of by himself, but I like the Karma with the Corki specifically. I think that it allows Corki to get through lane a lot easier. The Ziggs, in my opinion, makes a bit more sense into the Talia because it's more range. It's much easier to land against Talia. You're not worried about your dash getting caught out, and you should be able to wave clear for free. The worry here now is you've got a Karma into a Trundle, whereas you could have gone a Rakan, you could have gone anything mobile. Sinitus takes a big chunk early.
Takes a big chunk, heals, but doesn't commit to the retreat right away either. So takes a fair bit of a chunk there. Yeah, he's going to have to flash, and he's going to have to retreat, giving away that level 1 lane priority on the Caitlyn lane. A rough start for Obstinatus, and that is Array, as a reminder to everybody here, for those who maybe weren't tuned in right at the beginning. This is Stray, Griffin, and Array on the Sion, Trundle, and Caitlyn, respectively. Streamer mode. Oh, it's going to be the bane of my existence for the foreseeable future, let me tell you.
You're going to need another Gordo tweet out getting angry at these players for continuing on their streamer mode. But yeah,
these guys won't listen to me.
You want to get wave 1 prio against the Caitlyn Neeko? Just find the Neeko in the jungle and basically solo kill her at the beginning of the game. And why can't you do that every game? Well, this Neeko has been something I was talking to, who was it? SRX, I think I was talking to, about how he really dislikes this pick and support, thinks it really wants to move away from it. I'm not that passionate about the Neeko hate, but I know that there are a lot of people who really don't like this pick right now because of how strong it is and how kind of unfair some of the mechanics can be. I think that however you feel about it, it's a defining pick in the meta right now. So to see a new upstart player picking up this champion, need to see some big moves on it.
Yeah, and my beef is primarily with the transforming into a siege minion to tank turrets. I think that's pretty goofy. I also do think that the ability to proto belt while you are mid pop blossom is a bit of a bit goofy as well. I think if you clean those up, the rest follows from there, and I think you could walk away with a champion that's not quite so illegal. When it was being played mid lane and stuff too, I think that was a little bit more acceptable. But people have really embraced the power that this thing can bring from the support position, and another really nicely placed soul flare there from Mr.
Whoa.
That is not Kisno, by the way. That's Sejed. I'm just realizing this now. We got a little substitution coming in that is not Manui playing this Karma. That's Sejed. It's support.
I have to update that, but here's a TP in from Fire Mini to ward off the Trundle invade here. Kisno walks forward, finds a bit of a stab with his spear, and will shoo the troll away. But yeah, sub coming into support. This is, Minui was a player that I was expecting to see. Think is incredibly, hyped up and deserves it. But haven't seen a whole lot of DZ Kisno, which have to see how that goes.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one, baby. Listen, if I make mistakes in the play-by-play call, I hope everyone can give me a little bit of grace here. That's a big amount of damage coming in on towards Sejed. He's still going to be looking for the trade. Levitate uses the rest of his mana on this Valk forward, but will not have enough to really be able to chunk through Obstinatus, who does just fire back, using that shape splitter on hit damage to push back the Corki and keep Array safe.
A pretty aggressive bot lane from both sides. It's a surprise to me that neither of these junglers have passed down here and to look for a gank. I think this is a very volatile bot lane with Neeko, Caitlyn, Corki, Karma, a lot of immobility. Sorry, pardon me. From the Neeko, from the Karma, and there's a little bit with the Caitlyn, a decent amount with the Corki, but I'm really surprised. Maybe level 6 for Kisno, the real Kisno. We'll see a Cataclysm be chucked on the Neeko's head. No flash available, but probably will have it up before level 6. Remember, I want to keep touching back on what you spoke about in draft. ACL Fall has a reputation for seeding players into further and further tournaments, and if I'm these players, this is constantly back in my mind, wanting to prove yourself. We've just gone through Cedo as well, so continuing doing that. 5 minutes, gotta be careful.
Dropping pretty low there, but 5 Mini will be able to stay alive. Gonna have to channel that recall, though. That's gonna make things a little tougher. Ooh, Sejed trying to flash to keep the tether on Griffin, but will not successfully do so. And that means this Trundle can stay posturing, waiting for a Silo to show on up here. He just hit level 6, but it's too late to contest the Dragon. Still right on top of Sejed. A flash over from Kisno to try to finish off Asila, and a flash from Levitate puts him in a perfect position to claim a double kill. Milk on the board first with the Dragon in tow.
Yeah, the TP in from Stray was great, and the fight felt really good for Peach Cats, but Levitate flashes over the wall to get a pinch on the team fight, gets a double kill for himself. The Dragon as well going over to Milk Esports, winning across the board right now.
Really nice stuff from Milk there, playing to their edge, and I think Asyla a little late to get involved there. He successfully pushes back Phi Mini, but he just can't get over there in time. He wants the level 6, he wants the Weaver's Wall, and it actually, I think, ends up costing them their ability to take an advantage in that fight. And the bot lane presence from Levitate making really quick work of that team fight, really far ahead now on this Corki. Going to send Sejed up towards the top lane now to try to support Hoarder. Good immune there on a potential Tangle Barbs from Obstinatus as they try to shove in this wave.
Got some good lane assignments here. Peach Cats very obviously setting up for these grubs, putting the Scion back down bot after Sealer caught a bot wave, and then we'll rotate up to the mid lane. We'll probably lose about half a wave here on this rotate, but really nice lane assignments from Milk will allow, you know, a bit of minions to be lost to mid tower, lost the bot tower. Grubs in about 40 seconds here. Both junglers are clearing up to the top side. Hoarder takes a big chunk of damage and doesn't have TP, so these grubs might have to go uncontested.
Yeah, gonna have to send Hoarder back right now if you want to get him over there. Is a small window. If Phi Mini starts moving, they can try to get some members over here, but they are behaving as though they are willing to give these up.
Oh, Hoarder got his base
Find
cancelled.
out Hoarder. Yeah, he's stuck in the lane now. Well, if they didn't want to before, they're probably going to feel forced to now. Asyla in a great position, having shoved in the mid wave. Going to have that Weaver's Wall back up soon, clearing out this control ward to give himself uninterrupted access to the river. And the Grubbies are here. Big advantage for Peach Cats.
Top bottom not quite available yet. Really hoping for that level 6 to come through, but Obstinatus takes a big chunk. A stealer.
Let's move on towards Asyla here, and yeah, Kisno just sees the moment, recognizes that a flashless Talia is sitting up way too far, and they collapse. Now the numbers advantage going to spin back in the other direction. Hoarder is still at half HP, but the absence of a mid laner makes things tough. Still, very short death timers, 4 seconds to go on to Asyla, and he can TP right back. Will that be the call? Obstinatus hiding out as Griffin's Trundle. TP is being channeled by Asyla. Gonna take him a while to get here, though, as it is early on in the game. But still, all of the Grubbies are already gone. A flash in from Obstinatus. Weaver's Wall going to come through shortly for Asyla to be able to rejoin this fight. They're going to use the Subjugate on towards Levitate, and the shutdown will go the way of Griffin. Next up on the menu is going to be Sejed. He doesn't have the flash, is getting chased down, will get shoved back in by Asyla, and they will finish off that kill. Hoarder going to execute. Little Bowsian strategy in the bottom lane for this Scion.
That was some really smart support gameplay from Obstinatus. I really have to shout out what he just did. So what happens is the Nico is level 5 on the top wave there. Changes into the Trundle, which hides his real level. So Milk Esports have no idea when he actually levels up to 6. He levels up to 6 on the next top wave. Milk Esports still have no idea. He presses Pop Blossom and then flashes directly in, catches them off guard. Beautiful understanding of Nico, and I end up winning the fight.
Really great stuff there from the side of Peach Cats to be able to claim themselves a little bit of gold back and put themselves in a little bit more favorable of a position. Going to be in charge now of trying to use these grubs, the one grub that they got, as best they can. Milk actually walking away with the 2 there to get the advantage. And Stray under pressure in the 1 versus 2, going to lose about half of his HP. They look to make that push work for them. Meanwhile, it's a 1 versus 1 on the bottom side for Array and Hoarder that Hoarder's plenty happy with. He sees an opportunity to claim most of Array's health bar. He will take it. It's only going to be about half there. I think he missed some needles along the way. Still, you seize that opportunity when you find it. Nice shove found by Asyla to Phi Mini. Just going to claim his flash in the straight up one-on-one.
A very nice catch, and that's the problem with... Oh, very close there. It's the problem with these immobile mids like the Ziggs. And 2 very close base cancels. Peach Cats have priority around the dragon, though. It's only the 2nd dragon of the game, and Peach Cats have 0 as of right now, so I think Milk Esports should feel pretty comfortable giving this up. They really don't have a way of contesting. Gwen is in topside. You know, you're with a Karma support, so you really have no ability to face check. I think, yeah, you're. Oh, hold on. Looks like we are contesting this. This is risky.
Ooh, Abstinence is looking for a big pop blossom. It's going to be a flash over the wall from Sajed, but he is deep behind enemy lines and showing no signs of coming back. Ace in the hole connects, but Kizno going to be able to steal away the dragon. They managed to execute Abstinitus for this, and that will be a 2-dragon lead for Milk. 1-for-1 exchange in the kills, but Levitate's not done. Dodging out of the seismic shove. Kizno with a flash knockup on towards Asila will claim Milk the kill lead as well. Milk taking over in these early skirmishes.
And it reads all Milk right now. The dragon, the kills, forcing some really crucial flashes as well. No Trundle flash, no Talia flash. I really think that Sajed played really well there, was able to flash out of the pit before Pop Blossom hit, forced Talia to flash out to try to get the kill, didn't end up happening. So Milk Esports right now, coming up all green.
Wonderful stuff by Milk here, but still the gold lead not too out of control. The other point to make is where the gold is allocated. Levitate is 5-1 in this early game. So much gold allocated towards him, and I just can't say enough good stuff about how good this player has looked since exiting the NACL at the end of the spring split. He has been a hard carry for his teams basically every time he's hit the Rift since then, won himself an ACL title, and now is on one of the favorites this split. I mean, this guy's playing AD carry with Sajed in the lineup and looking very good while he does it. Hoarder getting collapsed on here, though. There is a collapse coming through from Abstinitus to make it a 3 versus 1. Hoarder going to do his best to clear the wave and return some damage, but Griffin will pick up the kill.
Good cross map from Milk, however, getting some much needed plate gold after the kill goes over to Trundle. We'll be able to get a whole lot. Now, Peach Cats answer back again on the top side, proxying the wave and going for their own couple of plates here. It is 2 grubs over to Milk from earlier, so they should have the tower push, especially with the Ziggs. But Peach Cats in the mid as well, getting some winning out of the plate gold. Kizno takes a big chunk from some headshots. Wow, is he dead?
Levitate can't get in position to dodge the ace in the hole and block it for Kizno. And Kizno, he goes for the Q and then the E. I think that was intentional, but he sacrifices his mobility for it and just ends up getting full comboed. Abstinitus and Array pump out enough in the tank and find the kill. Now Hoarder gonna be in a 1 versus 4 this time. We saw how the 1 versus 3 went before. I don't think this one gonna turn out much better for him. Another pick, another kill onto Griffin, trying to make an exchange onto Array, but he still has the flash barrier and gets himself out of danger.
Both these teams are cross-mapping exceptionally well. The solo kill in mid was excellently played by Array, but in the bot lane, Fire Mini was pushing the entire time. Obviously, Ziggs 2 grubs, gets the first tower, so that's feet over to Milk Esports. I mean, we dive Hoarder, now we're diving Caitlyn again.
Oh, Levitate getting chunked out low without mana, but has enough for one more rocket. Nearly solos out Abstinitus, but now he has got to get himself out of there at risk of Array's damage. Sajed looking to push on towards the jungler now. Good shutdown gold available on towards Griffin. Is now going to throw down that Cataclysm. Will be able to keep him in position and pick up the kill. Mini raining over some bombs as well for the additional support. There's a cutoff available for Stray if he sees an opportunity to pick somebody up. Nice flag and drag over the wall, but it's Sajed who is left out to dry. Nowhere for this guy to go. It's going to be a quick solo pickup for Asila. Meanwhile, Hoarder full sending it in mid, thinks that he can solo out Array, and he certainly can. Tries to get outside of turret range, but will be picked up by Abstinitus.
Oh, these guys must dislike each other because there's no farming really. There's all the macro that was just happening has devolved into just we are going to fight to the death over and over again inside each other's jungle. And the funniest part about this is that the gold is basically still even. It reads 2 dragons to Milk Esports, the 2 grubs, sure. But it's what, under 1,000 gold lead here for Milk? Next dragon's in 50 seconds, which is the real big lead here if Milk are able to get that. The tower will make the gold basically dead even.
A really great pickup there for support. And does keep that gold, as you said, basically dead even. The Rift Herald is up and available and has been for nearly a minute. But with these constant exchanges of blows, no time to get over there, and this could be a potential soul point for Milk, so nobody gonna take their time to deal with it right now. Szed finds himself slowed up by the pillar, but will be able to walk that one out. Here comes Stray on a deep flank. Szed once again the target, but this time he has his flash to get himself out to safety. Now Scion ultimate gone, one of the major engage tools for Peach Cats. With Trundle in the jungle and Nico at support, no Pop Blossom back available either. They have no way to get this fight started, and Milk are the ones with control over the Dragon.
You're really hoping for a seismic shove from ACL, but that's really tough to get. Dragon is spawned and will be started up now by Milk Esports, but look at the flank here. Look where Jarvan and Gwen are. This is a devastating flank here that I don't think Peach Cats are ready for.
Yeah, Kisno gets himself into the pit, needs to be here to be able to smite, and it's going to be a deep flank from Hoarder. He's going all the way around the red buff to stay outside of vision range. They know that there's a ward thrown down over here. Now they might not spot him until it's too late. They see him now. Kisno going to go in with the Cataclysm. It's an attempted escape from Array, but he's going to find himself one shot by Hoarder. It's a 1-for-1 exchange so far, but they're able to cycle out Obstinatus and take him out, as does Stray. It's a double kill to Hoarder. Syla and Griffin forced to head for the hills. Snare connects out of Szed, but the follow-up damage not quite there. Hoarder strong enough to stand and fight with this Riftmaker. Dragon number 3 going the way of Milk. They get soul point at 17 minutes, and they have control.
The setup for Milk Esports is just so superior, and careful, Levitate. But Kisno goes in, and this is kind of the Jarvan fight sometimes. You have to sacrifice yourself for the engage, for the Cataclysm to get in there and allow Hoarder to just tear through this Caitlyn in the backline. And Milk Esports now soul point, Hex Tech soul point with a Ziggs Corki that is so much AoE slows. The Karma helps that too. Herald somehow hasn't been taken still, but Peach Cats really need to find something back in this game. It will be the Herald of right now, but Kisno's in the area. If they find vision of this Herald, I'm not sure if Peach are allowed to get this.
We're going to find out. Hoarder taking the portal to find himself another flank angle. He's going to have Needlework back up soon, and he's coming back stronger than the first time with a completed Nashor's Tooth. Obstinatus going to be able to avoid that potential seismic shove, but Hoarder just going to walk on through this fight. Support already down. Here's Stray trying to get into the backside, but he's been bailed on by the rest of his team. Hoarder chops him down to size as well. A double kill to Hoarder, and Milk continue to take names.
Peach Cats get the Herald, but the eye is still there. They weren't able to actually pick up the Herald. No one picked it up. You can see in the inventories, no one has it. So the fight, again, goes so heavily in Milk's favor. Maybe if you get the Herald in the pocket of someone on Peach Cats, it feels not half bad, but now you lose multiple members again. And these fights look so well executed from Milk Esports, and for Peach Cats, I mean, we had some really nice Pop Blossoms earlier in the game, specifically that one on the top side, but since then, haven't really been able to find this backline. They're playing A, so far back with the Ziggs, and B, very safely with the dash from Corki. It's impossible to land onto these backline carries from Milk Esports.
Yeah, and you know, during the laning phase, there were some nice ganks, there were some nice rotations coming out to be able to create advantages for the Peach Cats, but each and every assembled skirmish or team fight has gone the way of Milk. Their ability to find these flank angles, to get Jarvan Cataclysm on through, to put Hoarder in a position to succeed, has consistently allowed them to win out in those exchanges, and their reward is a 4K gold lead here before 20 minutes. They're going to be forcing Peach Cats into another team fight shortly for the Dragon Soul, and that is where they're going to look to really put the write the book on this game.
The worst part about this for Peach Cats is Milk Esports haven't even spiked yet. You're waiting on upgraded Mana Moon for Corki, which is not far away, a couple more stacks. You're waiting for Leandries for this Ziggs, which will be very devastating for the Trundle and the Scion. You've got 2 items on the Gwen, 2 items on Jarvan, sure, but you've already got a big lead, and Milk Esports are going to continually get stronger as Levitate. And be careful for this pillar.
Great interrupt there on towards the Valkyrie, and they get the shutdown through Flash and through Barrier. Excellent pick by Array and Griffin, and exactly what Peach Cats needed at this moment.
Good, Mega Inferno Bomb will kill the wave, so that objective bounty tower doesn't go over to Peach Cats. They get something, but it's really not enough as they try to claw their way back into this game. Atakard has spawned, with Levitate being dead. I don't think Milk Esports want to risk anything, any chance of losing the objective bounty objective by pulling it. They're simply going to walk in, get some very deep and solid control, invade this red buff, and wait for their ADC to spawn.
Minute and 30 to go for that soul. That's going to be the priority. Otacon already ready and rearing, despite his death in the most recent cinematic. Spoiler alert. For anybody who hasn't checked that one out yet, maybe a sign that this objective will be gone from the Rift for 2026. We can hope. But this time around, it's going to be Peach Cats and Milk who want to make it gone from the Rift, and the winner there going to have themselves a solid boost of XP that might be exactly the kind of throw that Peach Cats need to get themselves back into things.
I reckon we should just buff it. Don't remove it. Buff it so that teams throw around it even more. They're mind-controlled more to lose the game around Otacon. Would be best case scenario. But good vision right now set up for Milk Esports. Peach Cats will walk in and sweep some, but still that ward at the red buff there on the top left. It's a whole lot of value here. The spike's almost here. 2 items for this Ziggs. And we've got, what, like 1 more ability, maybe 2? A barrier comes out from Array. Try to survive some of this poke, but if Milk want, they can just go back to the Otacon now. They've completely forced Peach Cats out. There's the upgraded Mana Moon as well from Levitate. Milk Esports are so strong right now.
Yeah, relatively low cooldowns here with the Blackfire Torch plus the Lucidity Boots. 5 Mini going to have that Mega Inferno Bomb back before too long, and dangerous territory now for Array. Trying to take this fight, trying to scoot in is Kizno through the worked ground, through the unraveled earth, and it's going to be enough to take down Array and Obscenitus. Kizno gets himself too, does not care about the anti-mobility tools that Talia has.
And there's the spike coming in. Milk Esports want more, not able to pull a Stealer off of the wall. But the most spiked member on Peach Cats is this Caitlyn with the Collector and the Infinity Edge finished. Who did Milk Esports go for? The Caitlyn. Instantly snap onto the Caitlyn with Cataclysm, take her down. Didn't even use the flash there, was maybe not up, but Otacon and Soul now getting claimed by Milk Esports. And Gordo, this is 23 minutes in. They have Otacon and Soul before Baron has even spawned.
They do, and I think what's really noteworthy here is not really any kind of gigantic mistakes from Peach Cats to really take note of here. Ooh, Sajed might be a little bit caught out, losing half his HP. He's going to try to flash and blast cone his way out of there, and you know, quick on the hands. There's those 80 carry mechanics coming through, finds his way out.
Tower getting taken down now by Horda. And looks for the all-in.
Going a little nuts with it. Thinks that he can solo kill a Syla, and he can. Takes the turret, takes the mid laner. He might take an 80 carry as well. Be careful here, Array. You are playing with fire. Order realizing that he doesn't have a clear route out, going to see what kind of trade he can make happen here. Griffin going to make this an unfair fight and pick up the shutdown, but that will open up the other inner turret in mid lane to fall, and Milk come out mega positive in gold.
He only took one with him for the road as well, but chasing out Kizno here. Should be able to flag and drag his way out, but Griffin still chasing. Now gets warded away by Sajed and finds a route here. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but these towers, Gordon, they're breaking, and this gold lead is surmounting even stronger.
That's the third inner turret falling on down. Nice double knockup down by Stray, but the follow-up just isn't here. Array and Griffin are arriving to the scene, but their tank has already been worked through. A Syla on a deep flank, but he's soloed out by Kizno. This Jarvan is tanky, dives in with a Cataclysm and solos out the mid laner, creates a sitting duck for Levitate, and Milk are going to turn this odd-numbered fight back in their favor. Stray desperately trying to create some space for his marksman, but Hoarder slips right past him with the needlework. 2 more to Milk's name. Griffin, the last one standing, and this base about to get cracked open by Milk.
Only 1 member remains, and Griffin desperately tries to do something here. No Baron available just yet for Milk Esports. They won't be able to end the game with the death time is just too short, but Asila takes a deep TP flank there. Is Talia the champion you really want to be doing that on by yourself? I mean, I think that's a big mistake from Asila. Walks in, basically sacrifices himself. Kizno is able to put him in the Cataclysm and beat him up a bit. Horda caught by the pillar.
Now Hoarder a little bit soloed out here, going to try to escape. Has a little bit more health, 1 more rock actually doesn't even need to connect. I think he died to the subjugate of Griffin. So we'll have a slight numbers advantage with Baron up and available. Peach Cats can't really say the no mistakes point about them anymore, but certainly trying to make some desperation plays to try to get themselves back into the game. But that damage on Aniko's crazy, and the slow from the Otacon will just make them lined up sitting ducks for Milk to march through one at a time. A triple kill to levitate, and this could be a pentakill. Chasing forward onto Asyla, big CC, but the rocket connects for the quadra kill. Now, speaking of sitting ducks, nowhere for Stray to go. Levitate is handed the pentakill in game number 1. Milk Esports show why they're the Pool 1 team, and they're gonna kick off this series with a 1-0 lead.
No Gwen, no problem. The Barber gets fired, but 4 more trainees come in. Levitate showing how to play AD carry a little bit better than Array this game, and a pentakill on the Corki is a statement in this first game, Gordo.
And what a statement it is for Milk Esports in game number 1. We have never had back-to-back champions in ACL history. Milk want to become the first here in ACL 8, and they are showing they have the lineup to do it. It's plenty early in the season, but you know, if any of the sports books are taking ACL bets right now, I'm guessing the odds-on favorite, Milk Esports.
You got to keep up this form, though. I mean, even recently, we saw the undisputed, in my opinion, best team in the world, Gen G, fall apart when it really mattered. And this is the thing. You need to be... So you need to not get overconfident. You need to not let yourself get anxious or nervous, or you need to be the same team you've been the entire split, and every match is important. That was a outstanding performance from Milk Esports. I think for Peach Cats, it's really hard, like you mentioned, it's really hard to talk about where to go there, because it just felt like you were kind of outclassed on the map individually. It's very difficult to point at, you know, 1 or 2 things that they did. The draft was solid. The team fights were really good for the beginning of the game. I thought the Nico started out really good and then maybe a little bit quieter. What I will say, though, is these global ults, you need to find more value with them in the early stages of the game. You need to be roaming to side lanes, shutting down the Gwen, shutting down the Corki when you can. There was 1 or 2 good Talia ults there, used to catch out a straggler maybe, but I think I need more from this mid position. But yeah, Milk Esports just looked unstoppable that game.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a couple of things, right? I think the aggressive bot lane matchup almost cooked immediately as Nico is forced to flash heal and miss the first wave right from level 1. Certainly, I think sets behind a lot of what Ray and Abstinitus wanted to build for themselves there. And then Asyla falling massively behind in mid lane, I think really has to draw some questions about any draft from Peach Cats where you look to blind pick up against Phi Mini. He really did a great job of punishing that Talia on the Ziggs in game number 1. Really set Asyla pretty far behind there. So lots to look at in this second draft. I think Griffin looking very good on the Trundle, though. Found a lot of great angles, found some great shutdowns, kept the gold very close for a long time, but those skirmishes just not being able to show up and perform, setting Peach Cats behind from the get-go. Find out how they are going to be able to respond coming into this game number 2, where we do have a little bit of break coming on up as we get into the second draft. We are going to be right back, but I do want to give a quick shout out to Zen Market, your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Click on the panel below the stream or check the link in chat to try them out now. Use promo code Aegis. You will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Also, if you decide to make a purchase, you can use code Aegis25 to get 25% off your first purchase. Thank you again to Zen Market for sponsoring Aegis and the ACL, and we will see everybody after a quick break for game number 2.